Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again. Hope everyone had a great spring break, as we did, of course. And now we are back at it once again here on Season 3, Episode 12 of Empire State Hoops. This is the Resurgence. I'm your host, Adam Rothschild. Alongside me is my co-host, Marquise Frias. And joining us today is Dylan Heckman, Golden State Warriors fan in the house. Dylan, welcome to the show. We're going to get to your Warriors throughout the episode, but welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And today, of course, we're going to talk about a lot of the games that happened over our spring break. It was a bit crazy up and down, but we're going to get to it, of course. But as per always, today's episode of Empire State Hoops is powered by Sport Pros USA. For more information, visit sportprosusa.com or call 877-HOOPS-NJ to make your dream court a reality today. So, let's start things off with the West Coast trip. The New York Knicks head out west. After that win, I believe it was against the Chicago Bulls they had, but prior to going on the West Coast trip.
Yeah. No, sorry. It was the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat, that's right. So they then turn out to the West Coast trip. And the first game against the Lakers, this was probably, despite the injuries, game of the year.
I can firmly agree with that. I mean, it was just, even though the Knicks didn't have the positive outcome, I was merely entertained. I believe LeBron and Luka dropped 63 combined. And then you, of course, have Brunson, who was he was going crazy. That performance in the clutch by Brunson showed everybody that he deserves clutch player of the year. I've been saying this, but now everybody knows it now after that Lakers game. Obviously, though, we're without our captain for the remainder, or what looks to be the remainder of the regular season. So, big ups to Brunson to get healthy quickly, and Godspeed recovery to him. But, I mean, this was just in the game regard, this was a great game for sure.
Well, let's run down through this, of course. Of course, Jalen Brunson got hurt, and he's most likely out for several weeks. And with that being where we are in March now, with the end of the regular season pretty much on the horizon, he'll probably be out for pretty much the rest of the season. 39 points in this game for Brunson. The problem, like you said, 32 points for Luka Doncic. LeBron with 31, 12, and 8.
Yeah.
When you can't stop those two guys, and the Lakers bench too, Gabe Vincent pretty much won them the game with his three-point shooting. So that was what happened with the Lakers. So, Dylan, what did you notice out of the Lakers in this game, and how are they able to succeed, of course, behind LeBron and Luka, but who else do you think had to make the big plays to step up?
Yeah, of course, you got to start with the two stars, Luka and LeBron. Though those two have been doing incredible on, obviously, offense. LeBron doesn't play defense anymore, but offensively, they've been doing everything, distributing the ball, rebounding, scoring at a high level, even LeBron at age 40. Those two have been great. Some of their shooters have been playing pretty well recently. But overall, this team is going to struggle with their depth. It's going to be really those guys that need to perform in the playoffs. And, of course, they weren't able to get Mark Williams in the trade deadline. So their center position is going to struggle. Alex Len is not the guy for them. I'm sorry to offend any Lakers fans or Alex Len enthusiasts, but he's definitely not going to cut it. But really, I think it's just those two main guys that are going to have to play out of their mind if they want any success in the playoffs.
Trust me, I've seen Alex Len when he played on the Phoenix Suns. He's not the guy that's going to help them in any sort of way. He's a good role center, but he's not going to get you to anywhere successful. I mean, the Lakers have been playing this small ball out. You have LeBron pretty much playing at the 4 at times, it seems like, from what they've had to do with their offense. But after playing at the Crypto.com Arena, it was over to Inglewood to the new Intuit Dome as they took on the Clippers. And that game, the Knicks, they didn't really have anything. It seemed like after they were just overwhelmed after how things went against the Lakers, and Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers were able to do what they had to do against the Knicks in that, I believe it was a 105-95 win for the Clippers in that game, and not being able to stop Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. It's kind of tough to be able to do that, and especially the bigs the Clippers have. I mean, Zubac, he's a beast down there. Low.
For the Knicks side, I kind of want to, not to shy away from the Clippers and a good game that they had, but firstly, this was the first game without Jalen Brunson for the Knicks, obviously, so it's going to be a different feel of the game. Not only that, but this was off a back-to-back from the Lakers game. If you've noticed, the Knicks absolutely suck in back-to-backs. I remember Brunson's what was it? He had 50 or 60 this year.
I think 50.
50, right? He that came off a back-to-back against the Wizards, and that Wizards team, we all know that the Wizards suck, so we shouldn't be in any type of close game with the Wizards. Somehow it was a close game that went into overtime, and Brunson dropped 50 to save us, but that just brings me to my point where the Knicks just don't succeed on back-to-back games, so I kind of saw a L coming, and then especially with Brunson being out, it was going to be hard to win that game, but like you mentioned, Kawhi Leonard was going off. I believe James Harden had a pretty good stat line as well. So, I mean, it was just hard to stop for the Knicks. And then it was just a good starting point just to see how we are without Brunson and then to carry on for the next couple of games.
And Dylan, I'm sure there's some things you saw in this game as well. What stood out to you?
Yeah, James Harden, 27, 7 and 3, elite game. Of course, he's been playing very well this season with Paul George gone, Kawhi out most of the season.
Agreed.
He's been really the go-to guy for the Clippers.
Yeah.
Along with Norman Powell. But James Harden, he's been playing out of his mind since the playoffs, or not the playoffs, the All-Star game. Excuse me. He had was it a 50-point game?
I seen something like that. I'm pretty sure it was a 50 game.
It was a really quiet 50-point game. I don't know why, but they got to show him some respect in the media. But yeah, they all played pretty well. I'm looking at this 3-point shooting. It wasn't too hot for the. No, it was okay. It was 39%, but the overall team scoring, Nicholas Batum had 17, Kawhi 20, Zubats, he's a beast, 16 and 14, Harden 27. You can't let everyone eat if you're the Knicks, especially with their perimeter defenders. This is too good of a defending team, along with Tom Thibodeau, to be giving up that much scoring volume to that many players. And, of course, like you said, Marquise, they were coming off a back-to-back. They were tired, so you could kind of understand that. But still, Zubats, Batum, they can't be getting that much scoring.
I would want to make that point. I do agree that the Knicks just give up a lot of points to players that shouldn't be getting those points. I think we could all agree that Nicholas Batum should not be scoring 17 points against this Knicks team. You go back to the past game with the Lakers, Gabe Vincent, he had some clutch shots for the Lakers down the stretch. He should have been making those. A lot of people like to troll Gabe Vincent for this season that he's been having, but that was a low-key oppressive game. But still, we shouldn't be giving up those type of shots or those type of numbers to those type of players. So it's just stuff that you see like that's gonna make you a little mad. But all in all, it was just the Clippers were a better team that day.
Yeah, and it puts themselves in the bright moment, in that bright spot where, you don't see players like that very often being in that spot. And when a team is playing weak defense against them, it puts the other guy in that bright position. So this transition, of course, but in between these games, before we get to Sacramento and Portland, the Knicks signed P.J. Tucker, I think it was like a 10-day contract or something like that, just to fill in a roster spot for some stuff with the players going over to the G League and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe against Sacramento, they blow them out. Maybe some nice little presence there on the sideline. Maybe that helped them in that convincing win, because Sacramento is, I don't know, just up and down year for them. It seems like after firing Mike Brown and not being able to be in a good playoff position, and the Knicks just were able to take care of business there, of course.
The P.J. Tucker signing reminds me a lot of when we had in the 2021 playoff season, that first season that we made the playoffs.
I know who you're going to say.
Do you want to say it on 3?
Theo Pinson.
Yep. Oh my God, I love Theo Pinson. He's the guy that revolutionized the dance celebration or the bench celebrations whenever something happens on the court. I think he did that mostly on the Nets.
Yeah.
So, and then he brought that to the Knicks. You always love to see that type of veteranship or just the overall support from the older guys whenever the youth on the court is doing well. So I really do like the PJ Tucker signing, and who knows, maybe he gets some minutes in a future game. So.
Dylan, is that something you'd be surprised by with PJ Tucker and his presence, with what he can still do? Because he can still play basketball for sure.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
What do you think his presence is going to be like on this Knicks team, of course, which it kind of helped with, against Sacramento?
Yeah, it goes back to what Marquise said, that veteran presence. He's had a ton of experience with Houston, of course, some with Philly. A great mind in basketball. He's not so he can play basketball, as you said, but he's more there to inspire the young guys, teach them a few things. And I'm a guy that's really high on 10-day contracts in the NBA. I think a good 10-day contract can go a long way in a short stretch, especially with the Knicks missing Jalen Brunson in the next at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, P.J. Tucker can definitely get these young guys, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, all these guys to really perform like they need to, especially with the absence of Brunson. And who knows, maybe you can sign him to the rest of the year if that presence really is that big of a difference, which I think it can be with PJ Tucker.
Yeah, and I think if you want to just fill him in for that roster spot, why not do it? There's no reason not to, I think, with the experience that he has to bring to the table, despite maybe not being in the rotations. There's still a veteran presence to have on this Knicks team. So that's going to be something to look forward to as well. But another thing we had come up as well was, of course, the game against the Blazers last night. At 1 o'clock, just after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, man.
It was the double bang from Mike Breen. The overtime win against the Trailblazers. Mikal Bridges off the inbound, hits the three at the buzzer. The Knicks escape Portland in overtime. There's only one word, actually 2 words, I need to describe that game winner. Absolute cinema.
I mean, I can totally agree. I want to admit something here. I literally got a noise complaint from that shot because I was screaming, I was freaking out. The Knicks definitely should have won that game. We just barely edged it out. We shouldn't have been in that close of a game with the Blazers. The Blazers were they were pretty much like just doing it against us at every stage of the floor. So it definitely props to the Blazers for giving us some good comp. But I mean, what a shot from Mikal Bridges, fading over, I believe, 7-foot Donovan Clingan. Like, that's an amazing shot. So, all props to Mikal Bridges for that one.
Dylan, what did you think about that last play and how they were able to draw it up?
Of course, incredible shot by Mikal Bridges. A lot of people were doubting that trade, or I believe it was a trade. Yeah, it was a trade with Mikal Bridges, bringing him to New York. Of course, 5 first-round picks is a little excessive, especially with Jimmy Butler getting 1. Mm-hmm. But he is a great fit on this team. He's a guy that you can really go to with the absence of Jalen Brunson. He's going to have to ball out, which he almost always does. He started off the season rough, especially from 3.
Yeah.
But he's been really good recently. And on the Trailblazers side of things, the Warriors just played them recently as well. We played them a couple days ago. Denny Avdia, man.
Yeah. He made a big difference in this game.
We got to shout out Denny Avdia. He had, in this game against the Knicks, he had 27 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. He had an incredible game. I'm not sure about the exact statistics, but he had an incredible game against the Warriors as well. I was getting pretty frustrated because I didn't think he was like that, but respect to him. He might be taking that next step, and the Trailblazers certainly need it with them struggling as much as they are.
Yeah, and Portland's been through this rebuild process since they traded away Damian Lillard to the Bucks last summer. So it's been an interesting second season now into this rebuild for the Blazers, but the Knicks pull away with the win on the road. But the road trip is not over yet. And coming up after the break, we're going to get onto Dylan's Golden State Warriors as the Knicks play them this Saturday at 8:30 Eastern on ABC. And then we will touch on several other games down the stretch, as well as the Knicks will be heading back home after this West Coast road trip. So we'll be right back here after the break on Season 3, Episode 12 of Empire State Hoops. We'll be right back.
Hey there, basketball fans. Are you ready to take your love for the game to a whole new level? Well, listen up. We've got something that will make your hoop dreams come true. Introducing Sport Pros USA, the ultimate destination for all your backyard sport court needs. Whether you're a diehard Knicks fan or just looking for some slam dunk fun with your family, Sport Pros USA has got you covered. Picture this. It's a sunny afternoon in New York, and you step out onto your very own custom-built backyard basketball court. The court where legends are born and memories are made. A court where you can unleash your inner baller and shoot hoops like your favorite Knicks players. But it's not just about basketball. It's about family, friends, and fun. Whether you're hosting a game of horse with your buddies or teaching your kids how to dribble and shoot, Sport Pros USA brings the magic of the game right to your doorstep. Our courts are more than just a place to play. They're a place to connect, bond, and create unforgettable moments. And with Sport Pros USA, you can have it all, right in your own backyard. We're not just building courts, we're building dreams. Dreams of buzzer beaters, comebacks, and endless laughter. So why wait? Give us a call at 877-HOOPS-NJ or visit sportprosusa.com today to start designing your very own backyard basketball court. Remember, at Sport Pros USA, we believe that every home deserves a court, and every family deserves the joy of playing together. So don't just watch the game, be a part of it.
And we are back here once again. This is Season 3, Episode 12 of Empire State Hoops. It's the Resurgence. I'm your host, Adam Rothschild. Alongside me is my co-host, Marquise Frias, and our special guest today, Dylan Heckman, as we are about to talk about his Golden State Warriors. And speaking of the Warriors, the Knicks last played them back on March the 4th. Golden State won that game at Madison Square Garden by a score of 114-102. Jonathan Kuminga is now back in the line for Golden State, and the Warriors are on a 5-game win streak, Dylan. So you got to be liking what you're seeing, I'm sure, and especially with the milestone that Stephen Curry is coming up on as well.
I'm loving what I'm seeing. 5-game win streak. Of course, the one game we lose in the road trip was the game I went to. But, we playing amazing. Curry's 2 away from 4,000 threes.
Wow, I actually didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, only one guy is at 3,000 threes apart from Curry. That's James Harden.
That's awesome. Wow.
He's at like 3,100, I think. But, yeah, he's just that much ahead of everyone else. I think he's going to end with probably 5,000 something.
That's appropriate to say. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with his recent comments saying he wants to outplay his current contract of 2 more years.
Wow.
But going back to the win streak, Moses Moody, bro. I forget the stat because we've won so many games recently, but he's like probably like 12-1 by now as a starter.
I do remember at one point you said it was like 10-0 as a starter.
Yeah, we did lose one game since then. I think that was to Philly, but he's been incredible against your Knicks. Pods had Brandon Podziemski 19-5. He's been balling out. GP2, another player I really have to shout out. He had a career high in our previous game. He had 26 points. I think it was like 5 for 7 from 3. Mm-hmm. A lot of them corner threes. He's taken a bit of a step up from 3. He's not, of course, a go-to guy from 3, but he is a guy that can be effective from there. Mass GP2 broke his nose. And Jimmy Butler, he's had 2 triple-doubles recently. One in our previous game, and against the Nets, he had a 25-point game, huge outing. He's just been incredible. He's really changed the season for us.
It's reminded me a lot of when he was on the 76ers when he got traded from Minnesota. Like that, it's like that kind of energy, but it's not like he's just going to leave right away after the season. He's going to stay there long term, I think. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised he stays there for the rest of his career, especially with what you guys have been able to do and build up and how it's been with the small ball lineup, which is what I wanted to get to next, because the question is for the Knicks, how do they attack this small ball lineup that the Warriors like to run with, putting Draymond Green at center like we were talking about during the break. So, Marquise, how do you think the Knicks attack this?
It's definitely interesting because you rarely see any small ball lineups in today's age of NBA, and we do have a bit of a bigger lineup. We have a pretty big lineup, given that our shooting guard is Mikal Bridges, and then you're going down the list, and everyone I believe is over 6'5", other than Deuce McBride, who will be starting in place of Jalen Brunson. I think the best way to beat them is try to match their speed in a way, but not by playing their exact game, if you know what I mean. So obviously, with a smaller lineup, you're going to have faster players. You're going to want to try to get the speed of those players to be exact. So I would honestly like to see Deuce McBride start off on Stephen Curry at first, just to see how that looks. If not, then we could switch back to Mikal Bridges. But I do believe Mikal Bridges drew that at first assignment on the first game that we played the Warriors, and Curry absolutely shredded us. So
torched him.
Yeah, it was, and I believe it was like a 29-point performance with like 7 rebounds, 9 assists. I believe. Dylan, do you want to check that?
Yeah, it was. I'm looking at OG Anunoby. My fault. 28, 7 and 9, 5 of 9 from 3, 10 of 21 from the field. Of course, delivered in the clutch.
And if you watch that game, it was only it was 28 or 29 points. 28 points. It felt like almost 40 just by the way he was just being able to shoot. And then in the fourth quarter, I remember he was just dishing out assist after assist that really put it away for the Warriors. So I can't say who wins this game, honestly, just because I like both teams. I know Dylan is going to say the Warriors.
I can.
Exactly. But I think this is just going to be another interesting game for the Knicks where it's another good team. We're going to be seeing how we can match up. And this is without Jalen Brunson. I'm going to be very excited for this one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens, of course. And it's funny, that night of that Warriors game, I was at the Lakers-Pelicans game. I just got like,
wow.
Because since I was in LA, I was like, just get last-minute tickets. But I couldn't make it to when the Knicks plays. It was too expensive, so I figured I'd just go see the Pelicans and, watch Zion Williamson put a master poster on someone on on the Lakers. I forget who he did it on, but
I actually didn't see that poster.
yeah, it was. I mean, seeing it live was impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah. Getting back to the point now, I think, like you said, with the Knicks, the defensive assignment, with McBride or putting Bridges there, seems like the best ideal scenario for it. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, that game is on ABC national TV, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to tune into that one. But after that, it's back home for the Knicks, taking on the Miami Heat, and this is probably going to be an entertaining one as well. The Heat, of course, moving past the Jimmy Butler trade now, and we've talked about the Heat in past episodes a little bit after the trade deadline with what their situation is looking like right now. It seems like where they're going to land is probably in the play-in tournament from what I'm seeing, and I think probably maybe you get the 7 or 8 seed or get bounced out depending on what happens in this scenario. But with Miami and what they're doing, their key guys to watch are probably Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Andrew Wiggins. I think that's really the only names you can really think about here. So, Marquise, the Knicks come back home. Depending on the outcome that happens over in San Francisco, what do you think they got to do against the Heat? Because they're a very defensive-minded team.
Yeah, so, I mean, going back to the previous matchup, it was an OT game that we ended up winning, but it shouldn't have been close. The only reason why it was close is just because Bam Adebayo decided to drop 37-4 against Karl Anthony Towns. Honestly, I don't see that happening again. No discredit to Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is actually one of my favorite players in the NBA. But against Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, come on. Like, that shouldn't really be happening. I know Tyler Hero, he had 22, 7, and 4 as well. So those two players really carried the load for them, but then it was also a complete game by their role players as well. I think the Knicks just ultimately, we need to see that defense again where they step up and not let those players that we mentioned before, like those Nicholas Batum type of players, have those crazy stat lines that ultimately help the other team win the game or get it close. So it's just really all about the defense. We're gonna sound like a broken record for the next couple of weeks, but it's ultimately about the defense for the Knicks.
Absolutely. And Dylan, of course, Andrew Wiggins was on the Warriors prior to the trade deadline. So what are some things that you've seen out of him, of course, and now with him being on the Heat, what are some things you can expect out of him in this game?
Well, Andrew Wiggins, when he first joined the Warriors, I mean, we traded D'Angelo Russell for him. He started off really slow. I remember that play-in game against the 2 play-in games against the Grizzlies and the Lakers. We lost both of them, got eliminated. I was incredibly frustrated with Andrew Wiggins. He played like absolute garbage. He was horrible. Of course, he takes time to adjust to his teams. We've seen that in the past with him going to Golden State. He's struggling now with Miami. They're on a 5-game losing streak. I have some good news for you guys. After you guys lose to the Warriors, you're going to beat this Heat team. They lost to the Charlotte Hornets. They lost to the Chicago Bulls, the Clippers, and the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And the Cavs.
Well, I mean, honestly, I can't say that we definitively win. Like, yes, on paper, it should be a win game for the Knicks, but we've seen so many games where we have gone toe-to-toe with some of the worst teams in the league. So, I mean, really, I think we preach defense for this team, but really this is not a defensive team anymore. They just try to get it done as much as they can on defense, and then just try to explode on offense. I think is really the like monarch for this New York Knicks team instead of last year where it was primarily about defense. But I think that's what we're gonna see, just more offense instead of defense from the next couple of games from the Knicks.
Yeah, and I think that carries perfectly over into the last team we're going to talk about today of the Knicks play, and that's the San Antonio Spurs, of course. And the big news that came out of them right after the All-Star break, Victor Wembanyama out for the season. And I'll tell you one thing about that injury: it's very tough to come back from that, because that if anyone here knows Chris Bosh, of course, played for the Miami Heat, played for the Toronto Raptors. That injury ended his career. Mm-hmm. The blood clots, those are tough. Those are tough to come back from, especially depending on where in your body they come from. So it's always very tough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Godspeed recovery to Victor Wembanyama. He's going to be one of the best players to ever do it when it's all said and done in my eyes. But looking more ahead to this game, I really want to see how the Knicks attack De'Aaron Fox, just because he's an elite point guard, and that's what we're going to see a lot in the playoffs. We're going to see elite point guards a lot. So you got Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, Drew Holiday, and Derek White, even if you want to say Jalen Brown, throwing him in there in the mix. So I want to see what we do matchup wise, if we put up more length with Mikal Bridges against De'Aaron Fox, or we match him with speed with Deuce McBride. I'm very interested to see that. But I mean, you said it; they don't have Victor Wembanyama. I want to say that we win this game, but like I said, it's all about how we play on defense this game. So our defense has been on and off these past couple of games. I do see this as a weaker opponent, and that we're gonna face these next couple of games. So I want to say I expect a win from the Knicks.
Dylan, are you expecting the same thing from this, regardless of Wembanyama being out, of course, and De'Aaron Fox being the starting point guard, because he's going to be, of course, the main focus to stop for the Knicks?
Yeah, I see this going to a close game. I mean, you guys have struggled with elite point guards in the past. I don't want to bring up his name, but I'm going to. Trae Young. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox has been playing out of his mind. Of course, Chris Paul always doing his thing. Harrison Barnes has been playing pretty well recently. I saw he had, I think it was like close to 30 in a recent game. Maybe even had 30. But yeah, this Spurs team, of course, they're missing their guy. Prayers up for Victor Wembanyama. It sucks to have an injury like that. I hope he returns and plays better than ever. But this current Spurs team, they're playing okay, considering their roster and their injuries. But yeah, the Knicks, they just need to. I think they need to match the speed of De'Aaron Fox rather than height with Mikal Bridges. I think Deuce McBride should guard him.
Mm-hmm. I do agree with that.
Yeah, he's struggled with more speed guys that can match his speed rather than size. But yeah, it should be a really good game.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the last time these two teams played, Christmas Day, and the Knicks won that game 117-114 in a very tight, close game. So
another potential game of the year, honestly. Like that was one of the best Christmas Day games I've seen in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that's going to be we're definitely going to talk about, of course, with how it's going to look for the Knicks against the Spurs again. So once again, expecting a close game. We don't know what could happen, of course. Everything that's on paper, we'll see what happens when it actually comes out, of course. But that'll be it for this episode on Season 3, Episode 12 of Empire State Hoops. And today's episode of Empire State Hoops has been powered by Sport Pros USA. For more information, visit sportprosusa.com or call 877-HOOPS-NJ to make your dream court a reality today. So, talked about a lot about this West Coast road trip. Got to touch on Dylan's Golden State Warriors. And the Knicks will soon be making their way back home to Madison Square Garden next week after they take on the Golden State Warriors Saturday at 8:30 Eastern in San Francisco at the Chase Center. You don't want to miss that one. Make sure to tune into it, of course. And then after that, it'll be the Miami Heat, the San Antonio Spurs, and the team we did not get to cover today, the Charlotte Hornets, will be after that later next week, as well as we are making that push toward the postseason. It is crazy. We are saying that. The NBA playoffs are just about a month away from now, from what it seems like. So we're getting there, guys. We're really close.
I'm very excited for this. I mean, I think it's going to be just like last year, where it's going to just be another dogfight to the end, and we're going to really see if this New York Knicks team is going to be a true contender or not in the East.
And we're going to find out that soon enough, of course, about your Golden State Warriors as well, and can't wait to see what happens with that as well. But from here on Empire State Hoops, I'm Adam Rothschild. That's Marquise Frias. That's Dylan Heckman. And we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your week.